We are seemingly on the precipice of change in WWE. Vince McMahon has retired and Triple H has been made head of creative. And while the Raw episode immediately after this announcement didn't exactly change the entire landscape of the wrestling world, I don't think many people realistically expected it. And now that SummerSlam is right around the corner, or maybe it's already happened, I don't know when this video is coming out because things take time to edit, maybe now might be the time where Hunter decides to make some changes across the brands. If there's one thing Triple H is known for in creative, it's his extensive tenure in NXT, where he forged relationships with an awful lot of talent in that time. Talent that have gone on to speak incredibly highly of him, even those who have since left WWE, or more likely, been released from the company. It's not just his creative drive and booking that fans have been appreciative of, but his relationship with the wrestlers and his care of them. So it goes without saying that Triple H could be a key factor in rehiring some WWE talent that have been let go in the past couple of years. As an example, just look at Samoa Joe, who was rehired by Triple H because of that relationship between each other. Triple H is a wrestler's guy. So with that said, I'm Chopper P. Quinnell from WrestleTalk, and here are 10 former WWE stars Triple H could rehire. Before we dive into the list, it would be really appreciated if you would consider liking and subscribing to the channel. Both really help out us and our videos, and if you're so inclined, make sure to watch some of our other content after this video is finished as well. We do daily wrestling news videos and other video essays and all sorts of stuff. Also, this list was adapted from an article on WrestleTalk.com, so if you want more stuff like this and you like this sort of list, go check out WrestleTalk.com. Number 1. Road Dogg. Starting things off with not a wrestler, but someone who was no doubt a valued member of Triple H's inner circle when running NXT, Road Dogg seems a surefire member to return to the WWE fold. He was part of Triple H's crew that helped shape NXT, and while he was let go during the great NXT purge of January 2022, it seems almost logical that he'll be coming back before long. He and Hunter are obviously very close friends from their time in DX, and even with his former New Age outlaw Billy Gunn saying recently in an interview that they were actively trying to get Road Dogg to join AEW, Road Dogg hasn't exactly been complimentary of the promotion, frequently calling out their booking choices and even calling the TNT title the Jabroni title. Maybe that's another factor that can keep him in WWE's good books too. I think out of all the people that I'm going to be mentioning in this video, I think this one seems the most likely out of all of them, and I can see it happening pretty soon as well. Number 2. Mia Yim. One that might have to wait a little longer is Mia Yim, who was always very well protected and valued during her NXT run under Triple H's guidance. Despite never holding the NXT Women's title, she challenged for it on multiple occasions and was regularly featured as a top talent. After her release in November 2021, she ended up signing with Impact Wrestling, making her surprise return to the company on May 7th at Under Siege. Reports state that Yim signed a 6-month deal with the promotion, meaning she's in their books until at least Bound for Glory, which typically airs in October. But once that contract is up, it's very possible that Hunter could tempt her back into the fold, especially because we never really saw a main roster Mia Yim run because she was reckoning the whole time, and, well, that was a bit shit, really. Number 3. Tyler Breeze. Someone who was clearly a big Triple H project soon after the NXT rebrand in 2012 was Tyler Breeze. Someone who had gotten massively over with the NXT audience, though his momentum was unfortunately halted by a poorly timed injury. Despite having a brief flurry of success on the main roster as part of the Fashion Police with his brilliant sketches alongside Fandango, and having a pretty decent NXT return afterwards too, it does always seem like Breeze never quite reached the heights that Triple H thought he could. With Breeze already having returned to Up Up Down Down, a WWE-owned YouTube channel, despite not being re-signed by WWE, it seems that the links are already there for him to be re-signed before long. Not to mention that he could also be valuable as a trainer or a coach or a producer. He already has his own wrestling school, or you could just put him in a tag team with Xavier Woods. Just do that. People will love it. Number 4. Aleister Black. This one might be a little while before it comes to pass, but I didn't say it was going to be people that Triple H would re-sign immediately, so bear with me on this one. After being released in June 2021, and after an error with his contract meaning he only had a 30-day non-compete clause rather than a 90-day one, the former Aleister Black debuted in AEW as Malachi Black. with Black putting on some of the best and most memorable matches in NXT history, including epic takeover matches against people like Tommaso Ciampa, Adam Cole, the tag match with him and Ricochet against the War Raiders, and loads more. He's clearly very well liked in the Helmsley household. And with a little bit of creative freedom already being thrown his way with the newly revamped Dark Father character that he had right before his release, there's already precedent for him in WWE to be allowed to explore those like darker and more cult-like personas. And on top of this, Black himself has even said in an interview after his release that there were too many cooks in the kitchen on the WWE main roster, unlike Triple H, who has a vision and oversees the entire vision with his team, and he communicates with talent and everybody shares in that vision. He specifically has mentioned and praised Hunter's role in his NXT development and character, so there's undoubtedly a lot of mutual respect there too. While Black signed with AEW in July 2021, most likely to a 3-year deal as that's the AEW standard, when 2024 rolls around, it might be a tough choice for Black whether to re-sign or head back to the E. This might be just enough pressure on Tony Khan to start thinking about booking some of his talent with slightly more relevance than they have right now, because for a guy like Black, who's been around for a year in AEW, his storylines haven't quite had the same level of consistency and relevance and prominence that a lot of fans wanted when he joined the promotion. Number 5, Kairi Sane. Kairi Sane is a former NXT Women's Champion, the blip in Shayna Baszler's huge NXT title reign, and was always treated very well in terms of her booking when she was in WWE. Even on the main roster, Sane was partnered up with Asuka to form the Kabuki Warriors, and they were great. Under Triple H's booking, she also did incredibly well in the Mae Young Classic tournament, winning the inaugural one by beating Tessa Blanchard, Bianca Belair, Dakota Kai, Toni Storm, and then Shayna Baszler in the final. Not a bad run if I say so myself. Not to mention that after she stopped her time in the ring, Kairi didn't fully leave WWE. Instead, she became an international ambassador for the company, allowing her to return to Japan to spend more time with her family. It was only in December 2021 when her contract actually expired and she left WWE, returning to Stardom not long after. But with Triple H now at the helm, it doesn't seem all that unlikely that Sane could come back to the company even for a short run if she wants to stay mostly in Japan or for special one-off appearances. Number 6, Dakota Kai. Speaking of women that would be great for WWE's currently floundering main roster women's divisions, hey, it's Dakota Kai! Kai had a lengthy tenure in NXT, longer than most, starting off as the plucky underdog babyface who was unceremoniously murdered by Shayna Baszler, before becoming an out-and-out confident heel with her betrayal against Tegan Nox down the line. As a former 2-time NXT Women's Tag Team Champion, and putting on great matches on takeovers and regular episodes of NXT, Kai is clearly a Hunter favorite, and someone that would no doubt be treated with respect if she were to return to the company. And if Triple H also starts pushing some of his favorites who are still on the WWE main roster but haven't been treated exactly the same since NXT, maybe we could reignite that Kai versus Baszler feud, with Baszler being taken seriously this time. There's also a fair amount of history between Kai and her former tag team partner Raquel Rodriguez, and that would immediately allow Kai to do something meaningful on the main roster if she were to return. And since her release in April 2022, while she may have promoted a new ring name, she hasn't appeared at any wrestling bookings yet, so before she gets snapped up elsewhere, perhaps Hunter will be on the phone trying to entice her back. Number 7, Andrade El Idolo. This is another one where we might be waiting a while to see this one come through, but it's another Hunter NXT favorite who hasn't had quite the impact everyone was hoping for in AEW, that when his contract does start to expire, maybe Hunter could get him back on board. Not only was Andrade a former NXT champion, but was very well booked in his reign, having great matches with Johnny Gargano and Drew McIntyre, whom he won the title from. It took Andrade a while to get over with the NXT audience, but once he did, he exploded and became one of the most over and well-liked wrestlers on the roster, especially when he was managed by Zelina Vega. And with Vega still in the company, maybe there's a little partnership that could be restarted there, And much like how Malachi Black's wife Zelina Vega is still there to potentially tempt him back to the company, Andrade's wife Charlotte Flair is also in WWE, which is another factor as to why he might want to choose WWE over AEW once his contract comes up. Which won't happen for a while, by the way, as Andrade himself confirmed that he signed a 3-year contract in June 2021, so it's another wrestler that's going to have their contract expire in 2024. 2024 sure sounds like it's shaping up to be a hell of a year in wrestling, doesn't it? Number 8, Karrion Kross and Scarlett. Oh boy. Talk about wanting to right some wrongs. Karrion Kross was the most Triple H of Triple H projects, being an insanely dominant NXT champion, squashing the likes of Tommaso Ciampa, defeating Keith Lee for the NXT championship, and after relinquishing it due to injury, defeated people like Finn Balor, Johnny Gargano, Damian Priest, and a bunch of top NXT names in a fatal 5-way as well, having one of the most dominant reigns as NXT champion in the brand's history. After being defeated by Samoa Joe, he was called up to the main roster and, well, they f***ed it, didn't they? They f***ed it. Suddenly he was without Scarlett, was wearing whatever this is, and lost on his debut as the NXT champion to Jeff Hardy. Good God! If it wasn't more obvious that Triple H is a fan of the guy, just look at his NXT run. And if you think that Triple H wouldn't like to right that wrong, I don't know what to tell you. With Kross having not signed anywhere else exclusively right now, it might not be long before we see an actual return of the NXT version of Karrion Kross, complete with Scarlett as his harbinger of doom alongside him. Number 9, Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae. Now we're getting some real likely territory here. Cheeky little 2-for-1 on this entry as well, but Gargano was one of the most well-booked wrestlers in the entirety of NXT's history. He had one of the most well-liked and lauded stories in NXT history with his feud with Tommaso Ciampa. Gargano's a former NXT champion, North American champion, and a guy that bloody loves WWE and Hunter. His contract expired in November last year, and while fans wanted to see him turn up in AEW, he took time away to welcome his first child into the world. And now that he still hasn't signed anywhere, and Triple H is at the forefront of WWE, I think it's now significantly more likely that Gargano returns to WWE over signing with AEW. It was a hard call as a fan to see what Johnny Wrestling thought about this decision of AEW versus WWE before all this stuff happened, but now we've got NXT's dad and big Johnny fan Triple H calling the shots. I think it's only a matter of time before we see Gargano return. Not to mention his wife, Candice LeRae, whose contract only expired in May, and who has similarly close bonds with Hunter, and was booked pretty consistently well in her NXT run too. For me, this one's a no-brainer. And now, for me, the most exciting one of all, number 10, Bray Wyatt. July 31st, 2021. Bray Wyatt was released from WWE, and everyone lost their minds. One of the most creative, innovative, and interesting character actors in Bray Wyatt, and he was gone from the company. With Wyatt getting his start in NXT after the rebrand, he's always been a Triple H project, and with his seemingly boundless creativity, he needs someone who will listen and take in what he has to say and how his character should work. Vince McMahon was not that guy, but Hunter might just be. There's honestly no better place as a wrestler and as a character for Bray Wyatt than WWE. His style of presentation wouldn't quite gel with AEW's more realistic interpretation, and while there might be similarities between Wyatt's character and something like the House of Black and Malachi Black's faction, Black always has that kind of martial arts style to ground him as a proper wrestler, whereas Wyatt has always been an over-the-top cartoon caricature. Hunter likes him, Wyatt wants to create, and since he's got nowhere else that signed him right now, we might be seeing The Fiend back on screens before long. Or maybe it's not The Fiend, maybe it's some sort of other character. Oh, that sounds exciting. Oh my god, I've missed Bray Wyatt on my screens. What do you think? Who else could Triple H tempt back to WWE? Like this video, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. We'll be back with daily wrestling news videos very, very soon. I've been Chopper Pete Quinnell. Jam that jam.